What if you just realized that the 10 northern tribes of Israel were never truly lost, but only misunderstood? For centuries, the story of the lost tribes of Israel has been told as one of disappearance, as though 10 entire tribes simply vanished from history after the Assyrian conquest, leaving no trace behind. It is a powerful idea, and it has inspired countless theories, speculations, and even cultural claims across different parts of the world. But when we look closely at both scripture and history, a different picture begins to emerge, one that challenges the popular narrative. To understand this properly, we must begin with how Israel itself was structured. The nation of Israel was built on the 12 sons of Jacob, who became the 12 tribes. However, even this structure was more dynamic than it appears. Joseph, one of Jacob's sons, received a double portion through his 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were counted as tribes in their own right. At the same time, the tribe of Levi was set apart for priestly service and did not receive a territorial inheritance. This shows us that tribal identity was not only about bloodline, but also about role and covenant. After the reign of King Solomon, the United Kingdom of Israel divided into 2. The southern kingdom, known as Judah, consisted mainly of Judah and Benjamin, along with the Levites. The northern kingdom, still called Israel, was made up of the remaining tribes, including Ephraim, Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, Naphtali, and others. This division is often presented as a clean separation, but in reality, it was never completely so. Even before the Assyrian conquest, there had already been movement between the north and the south. During periods of revival, especially under kings like Hezekiah, invitations were sent to all Israel to come to Jerusalem and return to the worship of God. The scriptures record that people from tribes such as Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun responded and came to Judah to celebrate the Passover. This means that long before the northern kingdom fell, members of those tribes were already living and worshiping in the south. When the Assyrian Empire conquered the northern kingdom in the 8th century before Christ, they did not remove every single person from the land. Their strategy was to weaken identity by deporting large portions of the population and replacing them with foreign settlers. As a result, the region became a mixture of peoples. Some Israelites were taken into exile, some remained in the land, and others had already migrated south into Judah. This is where the Samaritans become very important in understanding the true story. The people who came to be known as Samaritans lived in the same region that had once belonged to the northern kingdom. From the time the people of Judah returned from Babylonian exile, the Samaritans consistently made a claim. They said that they were not foreigners, but descendants of the original inhabitants of the land, particularly from the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. They insisted that they had never been completely removed during the Assyrian conquest. This claim is reflected in the tension we see in Scripture. When the returning exiles from Judah began rebuilding the temple, the Samaritans approached them and offered to help, stating that they worshiped the same God and had been doing so long before their return. However, their offer was rejected, and this rejection led to a deep and lasting division between the Jews and the Samaritans. By the time of Jesus, this division was so strong that the two groups avoided one another, even though both traced their heritage back to Israel. This tells us something very important. Not all of the northern tribes disappeared into exile. A portion of them remained in the land and continued their identity in a different form, eventually becoming associated with the Samaritan community. At the same time, we see clear evidence in the New Testament that members of the northern tribes were present within Jewish society itself. Anna, the prophetess who recognized Jesus in the temple, is specifically identified as being from the tribe of Asher. This is a direct indication that individuals from the so-called lost tribes were still known and active within the religious life of Israel. As history progressed, tribal distinctions began to fade in everyday life. The identity of the people became less about which tribe they belonged to, and more about their shared covenant, their worship, and their connection to the God of Israel. This is why, by the time of Jesus, the term Jew had expanded in meaning. It no longer referred strictly to someone from the tribe of Judah, but to anyone who belonged to the covenant community and practiced the faith. This helps us understand why the New Testament still speaks of 12 tribes. Figures like Paul refer to our 12 tribes, and James addresses his letter to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. These are not references to a vanished people, but to a people whose identity had become dispersed and less visibly defined. So when we ask, what happened to the lost tribes of Israel? The answer is not that they disappeared. The answer is that they followed different paths. Some migrated south and became part of the Jewish population. Some remained in the land and became associated with groups like the Samaritans. Others were taken into exile and gradually assimilated into the nations, where their distinct identity became less visible over time. The idea of complete disappearance is therefore an oversimplification. What actually occurred was a process of scattering, mixing, reintegration, and transformation. By the time of Jesus, Israel had not vanished. It had been reshaped. It was no longer a nation defined by 12 clearly separated tribes, but a people united under a shared covenant identity, known to the world as the Jews, while still carrying within them traces of the wider tribal heritage. And this is the deeper truth behind the mystery. The tribes of Israel were never truly lost. They were scattered, preserved in part, absorbed in part, and ultimately redefined through history. They did not disappear, they became less visible. And perhaps that is why the mystery has endured for so long, because people have been searching for a people who vanished, when in reality, they were looking at a people who had simply changed form. If this message has opened your understanding and given you a clearer perspective on one of the Bible's most discussed mysteries, then take a moment to subscribe to Bible Teachings Gazette and turn on notifications so you do not miss more deep and revealing teachings from the Scriptures. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.